That's our main event. In our first fight, very interesting matchup, and it's for the USBA middleweight title. The executioner, Bernard Hopkins, goes up against the stern, Gilbert Baptiste. These are two fighters who certainly offer a contrast in styles.
I'm Bernard, the executioner Hopkins. This is my entourage, the people that's with me, that support me in training and fighting, and the people that's going to be with me until I win the world title.
Bernard Hopkins, the #1 ranked IBF contender, is not yet well known to the public. The executioner routine is his attention-grabbing gimmick. As a fighter, Hopkins aggressive, fast starting. He owns 12 first-round knockouts. He knows the significance of a knockout over the tough Gilbert Baptiste.
Baptiste will show that Bernard can really punch. Knockouts he has, no fluke. Because Baptiste, what I heard, he never been knocked down. He never been knocked out. He went the distance with Terry Narns twice.
This unique routine does not faze the down-to-earth Gilbert Baptiste. An ex-Marine, he respects Hopkins, but is not in awe.
Well, Bernard Hopkins is a big puncher. He's taller. You know, he has everything behind him, but it's not the size of the dog that's in the fight, but the size of the fight that's in the dog.
My fight plan is to do whatever I have to do to win. And that is to stick to my game plan, don't take nothing for short, don't give him nothing, and execute it.
An execution, huh? One man has never came and hung or executed a man by himself. You better bring some help with him.
The tale of two contenders. Gilbert Baptiste in the ring and making his way in, led by his bodyguards, is Bernard the executioner Hopkins. He gets right into the intimidation act.
Al, this is part of his desire for exposure. He's the #1 contender and virtually unknown. With this motif, Al, he hopes to send a message to get people to remember Bernard Hopkins.
Well, it is Hopkins who's trying to shake up Gilbert Baptiste, and this is one fighter in the world today who would be very difficult to shake up. Baptiste, who grew up amidst the gangs in Newark, New Jersey, served in the Marines, and he will not be able to be penetrated by the psych job by Bernard Hopkins. The thing that's on the mind of Gilbert Baptiste right now, this is a great opportunity. Baptiste, who lost the junior middleweight world championship to Gianfranco Rossi, knows that a win over this man tonight, the #1 ranked middleweight, could vault Baptiste into a showdown with Roy Jones Jr. for what looks to be the vacated title of James Toney. Right now, Hopkins looks to be in line for a fight with Roy Jones, and that's what a victory means to Hopkins in this one this evening. Let's check out these two fighters in the tail of the tape, and we guarantee that we will see the face of Hopkins. He will take off the mask for the fight. Hopkins has fought mostly as a super middleweight, is actually coming down to 158. Baptiste, who has been at the 154 level, but his last 4 fights have been at the middleweight class. And Hopkins, big for middleweight, 3-inch advantage over Baptiste, but a 1-inch reach advantage. Take a look at the rules. There is no commission here in Denver, but this a USBA championship fight, and thus the USBA rules. No standing 8 count, no 3 knockdown rule. You cannot be saved by the bell, and the scoring of the 10-point must scoring system. We are ready for the introduction, so let's go into the ring at McNichols Arena in Denver, Colorado, and here's Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to McNichols Arena in beautiful Denver, Colorado, as we present the Rumble in the Rockies. This bout coming your way, ladies and gentlemen, is the semi-main event, the USBA Middleweight Championship, brought to you by Butch Lewis Promotions and Barry Fay, in association with Budweiser, the undisputed king of beers. Presenting the officials as appointed by the United States Boxing Association, the supervisor Hiawatha Knight. Referee in charge of this bout, Steve Smoger. Introducing the judges at ringside, Patricia Jarman, Al DeVito, and Gene Williams. All right, fans, here we go. The USBA Middleweight Championship scheduled for 12 rounds of boxing. Introducing to you first the challenger on my right, fighting out of the red corner. He enters the ring wearing black trunks with white trim, representing the Mongoose boxing team in San Diego, California. He weighed in at an even 160 pounds. With a record of 24 wins and 14 losses, he has 11 wins by way of knockout. He's ranked the number 6 middleweight in the world by the IBF and the USBA number 3 contender. Please welcome into the ring, Gilbert, the Sweet Sensation Baptist. And his opponent across the ring on my left, fighting out of the blue corners, the defending champion. He enters the ring wearing black trunks with gold lettering. Fighting out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, he weighed in at a trim and ready 158 pounds. His outstanding record includes 21 victories, only 1 defeat, 16 big wins by way of knockout. He's ranked number 3 in the world by the WBA, number 4 by the WBC, and the number 1 middleweight contender by the IBF. Welcome the USBA middleweight champion, Bernard, the Executioner Hopkins. The referee in charge now to give instructions, Steve Smoker.
Center ring. All right, gentlemen, you were given your instructions at the weigh-in. I want you to obey my commands at all times. I want you to respect the bell at all times, and above all, protect yourself at all times. Now touch him up. We can't. That's it. God bless. Let's.
Some stern looks on the faces of these two competitors. You see Michael Spinks in the corner of Bernard Hopkins, the former light heavyweight champion and heavyweight champ, and countering in the other corner of Gilbert Baptiste is a former light heavyweight legendary champion Archie Moore. His son Billy Moore has been handling Baptiste, and they quickly go at it. Now you have Bernard Hopkins, who has 12 first-round knockouts. His last 3 fights have all ended in the first round. The last one to win this title in 21 seconds. And he's going up against a fighter in Baptiste who has never been stopped and has never been knocked off his feet.
Bernard Hopkins, a very fast starter, but they did a good job getting Baptiste warmed up, good, hot, and ready in the dressing rooms. You come into a fight like this, you don't want to be coming in cold. You're going to be going out cold.
It is scheduled for 12 rounds. Hopkins looking to quickly go at Baptiste, and Baptiste looking to take him into the later rounds, because Baptiste is a warrior. He's been in 17 10-round fights. Matter of fact, 4 of those have gone 12 rounds, while Hopkins, the extent for Hopkins, 10 rounds on 3 occasions. And those are the only 3 times he has actually gone past 6 rounds. So the strategy for Baptiste is to hang in there. 2 muscular fighters. Both know the career's on the line. They get a championship fight, it looks like, the winner of this one, with Roy Jones waiting.
And it's great to see 2 top 10 contenders facing one another. Hopkins is the number 1 contender, as we've talked about. Baptiste is number 6 in the IBF.
You know, the big talk in and around the middleweight and super middleweight division with James Toney beating Iran Barkley, and it looks like he takes over that super middleweight position and will vacate his IBF crown. Is that position. And now it is to the body, Hopkins.
But some good right hands over the top by Baptiste. You know, in this fight, Baptiste came out, the first punch he threw was an overhand right, trying to set the pace. You know, it's so hard to get off first in a fight. You want to stand around and wait and see what your opponent's going to do. A lot of times it's better just get out there and throw the very first punch. Try to set the precedence.
You saw Baptiste's record, 26-14, looks somewhat modest, but you have to keep in mind he lost 8 of his first 14 fights. Not great management. They're really fighting over his head. As that he has come on since he's been under the tutelage of Billy Moore. He's had a couple of distant fights with Terry Norris early in his career. And now it's Baptiste slugging away, trying to dent the armor of Bernard Hopkins. Hopkins lost his first professional fight Would you believe he fought that one as a cruiserweight? Then he stayed out for a year, got his whole act together, got his management crew in order, and found out that he would be better off as a middleweight or a super middleweight. And since then, he is 21-0 with 16 knockouts, 12 in the first round. He will not add a first-round knockout tonight. In the corner, supporting Bernard Hopkins, is the former heavyweight and light heavyweight champ Michael Spinks, and the manager Butch Lewis, who sent the shirt out, unfortunately did not come back from the cleaners in time.
And that has been his motif.
Yes, that's his
trademark. Not to have a shirt, but to have a tie on. Michael Spinks said, "You have not seen the last of Michael Spinks yet." He said he may return as a cruiserweight.
Probably his best bet, although he's been saying that now for several years. He was in a fight over the weekend, a matter of fact. He came to a Denver Nuggets game. The Nuggets play here at McNichols Arena, and got into a slugfest with Rocky, the Nuggets mascot. And Michael looked pretty good. He's Rocky the mountain lion. Second round action.
Well, he's got the name.
That's right.
I don't know if Rocky
boxing.
can fight, but he's got the name.
First defense of the USBA title for Bernard Hopkins, but there's much larger implications in this fight. Hopkins ranked #1 by the IBF, #3 by the WBA, #4 by the WBC, and he is lurking and just waiting to get a crack at either Roy Jones or Julian Jackson or Reggie Johnson.
And some heavy shots. You know, he said,
Baptiste.
"If I get a chance to KO him," Hopkins said, "if he stands on the inside and trades, I'll bop him." He bopped him there with several punches. One thing that Baptiste cannot do is turn to the side. When he bends over, he turns to the side, drops that left hand, and he gives his opponent an open shot to his chin. Dangerous, especially with a good right-hand puncher like Hopkins.
But so far, it's been a chin that's been well tested.
Yes, very good chin. He is very durable, hard to knock out.
Real throwback kind of guy. Mental toughness. The ex-Marine, very aggressive, likes to work to the body. He did win the NABF Junior Middleweight Championship with a third-round knockout over a guy who's very tough to take out, in Ron Edmondson.
Loves a tough fight, Gilbert Baptiste, but he is cut over the left eye.
The slashing of Bernard Hopkins.
That could be because he's turning when he's bending over. He's turning away, leaving that eye and that chin exposed.
And it's Baptiste now digging in, just trying to muscle Hopkins.
Yeah, trying to stay on the inside. He's trying to smother that power.
Inside 30 seconds left in the second. Busy fighter Hopkins. This is his 14th fight in his last 2 years. Baptiste also likes that activity. This is his 11th fight in 2 years.
On the cut again. Good overhand right from Hopkins.
Down to a dozen seconds in the second as they slug away to end the second round. And we will pause for a word from your local cable systems.
In that second round, a cut opened up, and this is the punch right on the eye. The overhand right from Hopkins. Notice how Gilbert Baptiste is turning to the side when he bends down. Well, when you do that, you give your opponent an open shot. He has the angle on you.
Third round action. Baptiste knows several statistics, Sean, about Hopkins, who has that impressive knockout record, 12 knockouts in the first round. He has 16 knockouts all told in his career, Hopkins does, but only 2 of them have come after the third round. So Baptiste, part of his strategy is, here we are in the third round. Just get through the third round, as you said before, smother those punches, stay in close, go to the body, try to wear down a guy who's not used to going rounds.
Right, and he's doing just that. You stay on the inside like that, put some pressure on your opponent. He cannot get any extension on his punches.
But Hopkins unleashing with the power.
Take a look at Hopkins' trunks. They're way up high. It's an old-time trick that a lot of fighters use. See how thick that band is?
And if there's no hitting below the waist, not much of a target for Gilbert Baptiste.
Well, you have to, if you're Baptiste, you have to try to get underneath those elbows, and it's very difficult to do, very hard to do.
Hopkins, who had over 100 amateur fights, both fighters are 27 years of age. Baptiste had over 90 fights, fought in the Marine Corps. Steve Smoger is the third man in the ring. We're in round number 3. It is scheduled for 12, the USBA middleweight championship. Al Albert along with the champ, Sean O'Grady, ringside in Denver, Colorado. And we have Alex Garcia versus Mike Williams coming up in a scheduled 12-round NABF heavyweight title fight.
Busy round. They want for Baptiste to keep that pressure on. Oh, and he does. Good overhand right. He's found a home for that overhand right.
And this is Baptiste. Puts the head right on the chest of his opponent, just barrels in.
This is the way he loves to fight. He has never been in a boring fight. Get in there and get with it.
He made his mark with a 10-round victory over Ron Collins, then went over to France to fight Laurent Bontwani, who was 15-0 with 14 knockouts, and Baptiste stopped him in the 8th round. Next fight, he stopped the tough Ron Amundsen in 3 rounds. That catapulted him into the junior middleweight world championship fight when he lost in 12, a decision to Gianfranco Rossi on Rossi's home turf. The infighting continues. It is a big-time turnout here in Denver as Gilbert Baptiste moves into the 4th round against the #1 middleweight Bernard Hopkins.
Good turnout here. A lot of good fight fans here in Denver. Good overhand right from Bernard Hopkins, who sets that up with a jab to the body. Makes your attack. And this is a different Bernard Hopkins than we saw earlier in this fight. Remember that first round? He was standing toe-to-toe with Baptiste. He is moving more now.
And in the corner of Gilbert Baptiste, the son of Archie Moore, Billy Moore, and he is trying to shake Gilbert Baptiste heading into the 4th round. This is what he had to say after the 3rd round.
He snaps his right, he's not snapping his left hand back. So what is that open for? Okay, overhand right, you come back with what? How many? That's right. That's right. Gilbert, look, man. You got the whole country watching you. Like I told you before, that's a multi-million-dollar organization that takes the win.
And they go at one another here in the 4th.
And you cannot afford to have a point taken away. A warning earlier this round from Smoger for rabbit punching for Baptiste.
Billy Moore saying it's just the little old us against that multi-million-dollar organization working on Gilbert Baptiste. Billy Moore yelling from the corner.
And they have
Baptiste saying, wake up, Gilbert.
They have Hopkins hopping now. Backwards, dancing, moving, trying to stay on the outside.
Billy Moore boxed a little bit, but he liked football better than that. Was on a scholarship at Cal State. He said his father fought enough for the whole family.
144 knockouts. His dad set the record. Some more instructions from Steve Smoger.
The main event, Alex Garcia, the #4 ranked heavyweight in the world. Just a couple of steps away from a possible world title fight. His name is always mentioned now as a possible opponent. And Garcia's got to look attractive. He takes on Mike Williams, who has fought a couple of former heavyweight champions. Archie Moore is also here. You know, it was back in 41 years ago, 1952, that Archie Moore fought Clint Bacon right here in Denver, Colorado. Closing seconds of the 4th.
Monroe.
Bernard Hopkins being extended by Gilbert Baptiste into round number 5. Hopkins 21-1 with 16 knockouts. And only one of his knockouts have come in the 5th round, none after the 5th. Baptiste has had 17 10-round affairs. Hopkins has had only 3. And those are the only times he's been past the 6th. So right now, the neutralizer for Baptiste is to just extend Hopkins as long as he can. Baptiste has had 4 12-round fights. Hopkins, none. And this is scheduled for 12. Doing a job working in the corner of Baptiste to close that cut at the side of his left eye. Billy Moore yelling out to Baptiste, he's never fought anybody like you. Continues with the encouragement for his fighter.
And between rounds, Steve Smoger visited the corner of Baptiste and said, don't make me take a point. They want him to keep his punches up. Now, against a fighter like Hopkins, we talked about the trunks coming way up on your belly. It doesn't take very much to hit a low blow.
Well, before the fight, though, they have designated.
In the instructions, the referee says, hey, I'm going to call here or low. Below the belt, I'm going to call low.
Well, it certainly makes it tougher for the official and also for a fighter.
You're concentrating on hitting your opponent in the body, but you have that big band there. Normally, you're used to seeing the band lower. Now suddenly you say, oh, I've got to pinpoint my punches. They have to be real sharp to get into the body.
Although that last one was low. Hopkins from Philadelphia, born and raised. Baptiste, born in Newark, now resides in San Diego. He grew up amidst the gangs in Newark, and he said he wanted to prove himself with his fists, not guns and knives. And he went to a boxing school. He stayed with it, joined the Marines, fought in the Marines, now putting the pressure on upstairs against Bernard Hopkins. Inside 30 seconds to go in the 5th. Hopkins with his back against the ropes trying to fight.
But Hopkins is the one that's throwing punches. Baptiste is not.
On the face of Hopkins, it just kind of looks he's having a good time in there. Against the stern Gilbert Baptiste, who is just a couple of slots down in the IBF at number 6. The big crowd at McNichols Arena in the Mile High City, Denver, Colorado. Al Albert along with the champ, Sean O'Grady. This is the USBA middleweight championship. The champion, Bernard Hopkins, with his back to you. Gilbert Baptiste, the challenger. And on the world picture, Hopkins ranked number 1, Baptiste 6 in the IBF. And there's talk of a matchup with Roy Jones Jr., at least for Hopkins. After this one, Baptiste has to feel if he beats Hopkins, he should gain some consideration in that. But it's Hopkins who generally is fought over the middleweight weight and comes down to 158, while Baptiste has campaigned most of his career as a junior middle, 154. Quite frankly, he outweighs, ironically, outweighs Hopkins by 2 pounds.
Gilbert.
1 minute into the 6th.
And it appeared as though Hopkins turned the corner in the last round. That 5th round, I thought he boxed well. He threw the combinations well from the outside. But this round, he's reverting back to what he did in the 1st round, the opening round. And it's a good opportunity for Baptiste. They are wanting, Billy Moore is begging Baptiste to come on, throw punches. Billy Moore right in the corner. Like 2 feet away from Baptiste.
I think he's holding the camera.
He could be. He is very close.
He ain't gonna run from you.
And there you see in the lower left-hand corner.
He's not gonna run from you.
And you can hear Billy Moore.
Keep your punches up.
Instructions right there.
You may as well be in the ring with him.
Okay. It'll be interesting. 3-man fight.
Yeah, but you know what happens? That Hopkins brings in his
The man with the axes.
And well, they say it's the rumble in the Rockies. That's what it could turn into. Inside the final minute in the 6th.
You know, Gilbert Baptiste has been training in the California mountains. He's not at all concerned about the high altitude here in Denver. What this thin air does is it takes your breath away. It's hard to catch your breath, dries out your mouth.
And Baptiste is doing what he has to do. He's smothering Hopkins. Trying to work to the body. Now Hopkins with a little more room. Trying to unleash. And if there's ever a test to Bernard Hopkins' punching ability, it's Gilbert Baptiste, who has never been stopped and never been down.
And his stamina.
Inside 10 seconds in the 6th round, and we will pause for a word from your local cable systems. Join us ringside on USA's Tuesday night fights, 7th round action in the scheduled 12-rounder. The lunging Gilbert Baptiste, who's ranked 6th in the IBF, doesn't show up in the WBA, Sean, and is down at number 17 in the WBC.
Well, this is a fighter that's a real workhorse, one that you can really try your stuff on because he's going to be there to either take it and give back. Good fighter. He has schooled, he has learned well from Billy Moore, even Archie Moore.
Hopkins now closer to his corner. You can see him ringside that Michael Spinks, who really gets into the fight, along with Butch Lewis, the manager of Hopkins.
Well, I think they saw the last round how Billy Moore had just sat there and shouted instructions to his fighter, Baptiste. So this round, Bernard Hopkins is taking Baptiste to his corner, where they can just shout instructions.
Few rows behind Michael Spinks in the green sweater. Now in the center of the screen is Wellington Webb, the mayor of Denver, Colorado, big sports enthusiast. Got a nice job promoting this fight.
Yeah.
And a real good crowd.
Very good crowd.
On hand.
Very impressive. I hope we come back here.
Denver Nuggets are on the road, so the arena is open.
And you are on the road, Al.
Okay, all right.
Here is Billy Moore. Let's
Okay,
hear.
I'm all right. I'm not going. You say we're winning, then we'll take your word for it. Okay. All right. Okay, both of you guys been right on the pass.
They think they're winning. Giving instructions to his fighter.
Bring your locks. Bring your locks and pick it up. There you go. Bring it to me, baby. Bring it to me.
Now
Bring it to me.
Moore is trying to turn up the intensity. You start off around slow, and you build on it. You build on it. Slowly get faster and harder and more prominent with your punches. You don't want to start off too quick. You want to steal that final few seconds of the round. You try to knock him out within the last 30 seconds of a round. Really turn it up. Got to impress the judges. And you leave him with the impression when he goes back to his corner of you being stronger. There's a minute to think about it.
Gilbert Baptiste is actually coming off a defeat last September to Otis Grant for the NABF middleweight title. That was a 12-round affair. Swing and a miss for Baptiste, but he stays in there gets that jab out, and Hopkins had an opportunity but stood there. Side at McNichols Arena. This is the USBA middleweight championship. Bernard Hopkins owns the title, but also owns the #1 ranking in the IBF and looking to bigger and better things. There's a straight right smash to Baptiste.
Solid right hand, and Baptiste rolls with the punch and comes back. There he is again. Boom. Solid right hand. Baptiste holding that left hand down like Archie Moore does, but wisely he bends down underneath all those punches. That's so hard to hit somebody like that.
Rolling.
And not hit him with a rabbit punch. Baptiste is hurt. He is hurt.
And now trying to hold on to the barrage of Hopkins, finally getting through here in the 8th round.
No knockdown, that was a push, a right hand push.
And if nothing else, it gives Baptiste a few seconds, and it's got to totally tick him off.
Baptiste is out on his feet.
40 fights, he's never been down. And we're not hearing very much from Billy Moore. What could he be telling his fighter now?
Moore is worried. You notice how Baptiste gets on the inside. inside. He's falling in the inside, trying to smother these shots. Still a little foggy.
Yeah, he is
You
wobbly.
cannot afford to be hit here. You cannot afford to get hit with hard shots. Hands up. This is where your basic boxing really comes in. Hands up, chin down, and grit your teeth.
Baptiste launches the left, and it lands.
And a good opportunity to steal. When your opponent rallies, like Hopkins just did, then you go back. Uh-oh, this may be a point. A low blow, and that was low. That was low. There goes the 1 point. They told, between rounds, they told Baptiste, one more low blow, and I'm going to take a point away.
But you know what? Strategically for Baptiste,
he needed this.
It's a good move.
Yes, absolutely. Very good move. Now, underneath their trunks, they are wearing foul-proof protectors. Occasionally, those protectors get full of sweat, and they move on you. They shift. And when they shift, it smarts.
So Baptiste buys himself from valuable time. Hopkins has right now heard from the referee. Steve Smoger says you have 5 minutes.
And Hopkins is in pain, but he's also disappointed because this has been a point that he has worked Gilbert Baptiste to, a point where he might be able to knock him out. Baptiste just went low.
But it could be a turning point in the favor of Baptiste.
Absolutely. Downstairs to the body goes Baptiste, and all the way down, right? No question about that. If they are borderline, you have to question them. But the low blows that Baptiste has landed have not been borderline.
And you wonder for Baptiste if that was in answer to Hopkins shoving him down to the canvas. So this one heating up.
And a good time for Baptiste.
Definitely. But
I give him credit.
But now it's Hopkins who you feel has to be ticked off. And Hopkins says he is ready. But Gilbert Baptiste just right there bought about a minute and a half, 2 minutes of time. And here is Baptiste.
Look at this. Wisely, he buys time. You know, every second you have in that ring, you must use to your advantage. Gilbert Baptiste does.
And now it's Hopkins holding on with the right. Crowd getting behind a rallying Gilbert Baptiste. And you just kind of get the idea this one is just beginning.
And if you're Hopkins, you know Baptiste is going to come right at you. You got to plant that back foot, set that right hand up. You know he's going to run into it. You have to hurt him again like he was hurt earlier in this round. Boom, there it is. Landed again. Now those right hands, some of them, you can hit a guy 10, 12 right hands, then finally they take their toll.
Gilbert Baptiste breaking the rules to his advantage. So in that last 8 rounds, we talked about the contrast of styles of these two fighters out of the ring. And we saw contrast in the ring in the 8th.
The first part of this round, Bernard Hopkins looked like he was on his way to scoring another knockout. On the inside, a lot of heavy shots. He had Gilbert Baptiste stepping in post holes. He had Baptiste following him around. He was hitting Gilbert when and where he wanted to. But later in the round is when Baptiste turned the fight around to his favor. And this is how he did it. He went downstairs once. He went downstairs to the body down low, and Hopkins backpedaling after the low blow. Baptiste tried to score, although Baptiste got a point taken away from him in that last round. And if you gave the round to Hopkins, so now he's got 2 rounds out of 1.
And Baptiste, though, figuring it was well worth it, the 1 point, because he was going out completely in that 8th.
He was stepping in post holes. He was dazed. He was confused. He had the stare, that blank stare in his eyes. So for him, it was a very good move, an important move for Baptiste.
You've seen throughout the course of the evening Billy Moore in the corner of Gilbert Baptiste. Do you know how these two got together? Billy Moore was a TV commentator for a fight in which Baptiste was involved. Baptiste was getting hammered in the fight. Moore, from his commentating position, started yelling to the official, to the referee, to stop the fight. But Baptiste came out and he he KO'd his opponent. Billy Moore hoping that this could happen again.
Well, that was the Kenny Lopez fight back in June of 1988, and it's great to see a fighter like Gilbert Baptiste, who has stuck with one guy, and Billy Moore throughout his career since then, since that time. And he's stuck with him through thick and thin.
Ninth round action, it is scheduled for 12. Baptiste more accustomed to the late rounds, but so far Bernard Hopkins doesn't look like a stranger.
No, very impressive in the early part of that last round. Very impressive.
Hopkins a 3-inch height advantage, 1-inch reach advantage. Baptiste at 160, a couple of pounds heavy.
Ooh, home run ball. Now those wide punches like that Gilbert just swung, by the time those punches land, a lot of the steam is taken out of it. Remember the 6-inch punch? Famous by Joe Louis. Those short chopping shots on the inside are the ones that do the damage. And the one that you don't see is the one that gets you.
Baptiste leaning. Wouldn't mind another 3-minute round rest after being shaken in the 8th.
Exactly. Here in Denver, it is so hard to breathe this thin air. You can't catch your breath. Good double left hook by Hopkins. A lot of fighters complain about that. Come in early, try to get accustomed to this thin air. Some fighters train in high altitude only to go down in sea level.
The twin.
Heading into the 10th round of the USBA middleweight championship.
And between rounds, they were telling Hopkins, do not break with your hands down. When you break, go back with your hands up. He's catching you. Good right hand, but Gilbert Baptiste tried to pull the power away from that right hand. Dangerous move by pulling backwards. You don't pull back far enough, you get blocked. They want Gilbert to put pressure on pressure.
And in the corner of Bernard Hopkins,
1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
he's hearing it from the former heavyweight and light heavyweight champion, Michael Spinks.
Right there, my hand straight above that left hand. Stick it. One straight stop. Come on. Come on, right back. Now back up. Go behind the jab. Right back to that body. Double drill.
Sweating it out at ringside.
You can see him wiping out his mouth. That's because it's so dry here. It's so high that you don't have any saliva in your mouth to lick your lips. And the fighters feel that too.
Michael finding out that it is easier to get in the ring and fight than have to watch one.
Oh, it is too. It's so difficult to try to tell somebody how to fight. It's easier to get in there and do it yourself, especially when you do it so good like Michael Spinks did.
Halfway through the 10th round, Baptiste with the right tries another one. Hauling off with right hands, Gilbert Baptiste. Two muscular middleweights.
Just guts and determination is Baptiste. Busy pace, aggressive style, no-nonsense work ethic.
A guy who lost 8 of his first 14 fights, hung in there, hooked up with Billy Moore. Since that time, he is 20-6. And now 1 win away for possibly getting a crack at a middleweight championship. But that 1 win away is easier said than done. We have the NABF heavyweight title fight over the horizon. Alex Garcia versus Mike Williams. 2 big heavyweights. Garcia also looking over the horizon to a possible world championship shot. Steve Smogert separates the two, now leaning on one another and don't appear to be too interested in being separated. Scheduled for 12. A little dancing from Bernard Hopkins.
And a good combination from Bernard.
And that will tick out round number 10. 10 rounds down, 2 rounds to go. Bernard Hopkins for the first time in past the 10th round. Some of Hopkins' big wins, 21 straight after he lost his first fight as a cruiserweight. Defeated Percy Harris in one of his rare distance fight, a 6-rounder. Stopped Dennis Milton. His 3 10-rounders against Willie Kemp, Randy Smith, Annabelle Miranda. And right now it's Gilbert Baptiste looking to take Bernard Hopkins the distance at 12. How do you have this scored after 10 rounds?
I've got it very close. Could go either way. I've got it 5-4-1 Hopkins. However, you have a point being taken away in that 8th round from Gilbert Baptiste. But it could easily be 5-4-1 Baptiste. You know, Baptiste has been the aggressor in this fight too, and you must get points for that. Tough fight. Gilbert Baptiste has done a good job of applying pressure, taking the fight to Bernard Hopkins.
Hopkins never in trouble in this fight. Baptiste was in trouble in the 8th. And then able to wiggle his way out of it with a low blow in which he incapacitated Hopkins for about a minute and a half.
Good boxing, good movement from Hopkins. Good combination, then move. 2 well-schooled fighters.
Well-chiseled Baptiste.
Hopkins been fighting since he was 9 years old. Boxing game a long time.
Growing up in a boxing city, Philadelphia. Finding a hole, Gilbert Baptiste. Baptiste has Hopkins where he wanted him in the later rounds. Steve Smoger from the Atlantic City, New Jersey area, coming out west.
Double S. Steve Smoger. Terrific referee.
And handling this USBA title fight in Denver.
You know you have a good referee when you don't see him much. Let the fighters fight.
10 seconds left in the 11th.
Does a good job of pulling him to the center of the ring, too, when he breaks him. Final 10 seconds, they need to rally.
3 minutes to go, and you know these two fighters will air it out. And the crowd here is anxious to see just that, and that's what they're anticipating. The crowd coming to life. Sean O'Grady has this very, very even considering at this point that the winner of this round wins this fight.
I've got it very even, and I have not taken the point away in that 8th round. Now a critical point taken away. Yeah.
But it allowed Baptiste to survive.
Critical, but masterful move by Baptiste. He had to survive.
It's given him the chance going into the 12th round. Remember, it's scoring on a 10-point must system.
A lot of inspiration in his corner between rounds. Billy Moore, Jeff Bruck, Jimmy Palmer over there, all encouraging him. Come on, give it everything you've got this round, and you're the champion. And you know what? I think they're right.
It's the knockout artist Hopkins against the tough ex-Marine. Hopkins has drilled 16 of his opponents, 12 in the first round. Baptiste never taken out. Baptiste grinds it to the body of Hopkins. Well, Sean, you mentioned before, Ray Mercer on his way to a major payday, then loses to Jesse Ferguson. Bernard Hopkins, and I give him credit, he knew there's a Roy Jones fight lingering out there.
And a big money fight.
And A lot of fighters in his position may have pulled out against a Gilbert Baptiste, but Hopkins hanging in there. Says, hey, if I'm going to be middleweight champion of the world, I got to beat a Gilbert Baptiste.
Oh, good combination. Baptiste getting blocked. The overhand right has been the punch that has done a lot of damage for Hopkins.
And a little wobble in the legs of Baptiste here in the 12th. Inside the final minute, Hopkins noticing them. Baptiste holding on.
Baptiste is definitely hurt. His mouth is open. He is tired. The hands have come down. Golden opportunity for Hopkins. Hopkins now tired of this clinching. He's trying to punch going backwards, trying to make Baptiste run into something. Very close fight.
And here's the final 20 seconds. There have been no knockdowns in the fight.
Good match. Oh, good right hand. The same right hand that has scored throughout this fight for Hopkins.
And that will do it. No furious finish.
That's it.
36 minutes. 12 tough rounds. Who won the fight? We'll find out when we return. Back to McNichols Arena in Denver, Colorado. 12 grueling rounds. And Butch Lewis comes over to congratulate Gilbert Baptiste for putting up an incredible fight against his knockout artist, Bernard Hopkins. 2 careers in the balance right now as they await the scorecards. It looks like a very confident Bernard Hopkins, and equally so Gilbert Baptiste. We are ready for the decision. Let's go up to our ring announcer, Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 12 rounds of boxing, we have a unanimous decision, and I will read the score totals. Judge at ringside, Gene Williams, scores the bout 115-112. Judges Al DeVito and Patricia German agree, both scoring the bout 117-110. All 3 in favor of the winner and still champion Bernard, the Executioner Hopkins.
Bernard Hopkins won the fight. Gilbert Baptiste won the hearts of the fans. It was unanimous and not particularly close on the cards. So Hopkins wins his 22nd in a row and now can look ahead to Roy Jones. Meanwhile, Baptiste quickly exits the ring. He is extremely upset. He thought that he had his ticket to even bigger and better things. Gilbert Baptiste battling it out for 12 rounds with Bernard Hopkins, but Hopkins continues to wear the USBA middleweight belt.